The security camera at Murphy's Gas and Go captured Emma Rodriguez for the last time at 2:47 a.m. on October 15, 2001, her slight figure moving behind the counter with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd worked the graveyard shift for 3 years. The 24-year-old nursing student was counting the register, her dark hair pulled back in the ponytail she always wore during her shifts at the 24/7 convenience store on Highway 35, just outside the small East Texas town of Pine Haven, population 4,200. Emma had taken the night job to pay for her nursing program at Tyler Community College, working from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 4 nights a week while attending classes during the day. Her manager, Bill Crawford, considered her his most reliable employee, punctual, honest, and unflappable, even when dealing with the drifters, truckers, and occasional troublemakers who frequented the store during the lonely hours between midnight and dawn. Emma kept pepper spray within reach and knew to hit the silent alarm if anything felt wrong. But in 3 years, she'd never had to use either precaution. The next frame, time-stamped 3:15 a.m., showed an empty store. Emma Rodriguez had vanished without a trace. The discovery came when Jake Morrison, a long-haul trucker making his regular weekly run from Houston to Shreveport, pulled into Murphy's for coffee and diesel fuel. Jake had been stopping at the store for 2 years and always enjoyed his brief conversations with Emma, who remembered his usual order and asked about his family. When he found the store unattended, the register open, and Emma's purse sitting behind the counter with her car keys and cell phone inside, Jake immediately called 911. Sheriff's Deputy Marcus Webb arrived at 3:31 a.m. to find a scene that defied logical explanation. The store showed no signs of forced entry or struggle. The cash register contained the expected amount of money for a Sunday night shift, ruling out robbery as a motive. Emma's textbooks were spread across the counter where she'd been studying between customers, her coffee still warm in its cup. Most puzzling of all, the security cameras showed no one entering or leaving the store between 2:47 and 3:15 a.m. Yet Emma had somehow disappeared during that 28-minute window. Sheriff Tom Bradley, the same man who'd handled the Sarah Mitchell case in Montana years earlier before transferring to Texas, found himself facing another impossible disappearance. The store's security system consisted of 4 cameras covering all entrances, the sales floor, and the storage area. Bradley spent hours reviewing the footage, looking for any gap or malfunction that might explain Emma's vanishing. The cameras showed Emma's normal routine, helping the occasional customer, restocking cigarettes, and studying her anatomy textbook during quiet periods. Then, she simply wasn't there anymore. The investigation initially focused on Emma's personal life, but interviews with her family and friends painted the picture of a young woman with clear goals and no secrets. Emma lived with her parents, Maria and Roberto Rodriguez, in a modest house 10 minutes from the store. She'd been dating the same boyfriend, David Chen, for 2 years, and their relationship was stable and happy. Emma had no known enemies, no debts beyond her student loans, and no reason to disappear voluntarily. Dr. Patricia Vance, Emma's anatomy professor, provided crucial testimony about her students' dedication and academic performance. Emma had been scheduled to take her final nursing exam in 6 weeks and had already accepted a position at the Regional Medical Center upon graduation. Her dream of becoming a pediatric nurse was finally within reach, making voluntary disappearance even more unlikely. The store's regular customers became key witnesses in the investigation. Murphy's Gas and Go served as a way station for truckers, shift workers from the nearby chemical plant, and insomniacs seeking late-night snacks. Detective Ray Morrison compiled a list of everyone who'd been seen at the store during Emma's shifts, creating a database of potential suspects that included dozens of individuals with varying degrees of access to Emma's schedule and routines. One name appeared with troubling frequency: Charles Chuck Brennan, a 45-year-old pharmaceutical sales representative who traveled extensively throughout East Texas. Chuck had been stopping at Murphy's for nearly 2 years, always during Emma's shifts, always purchasing the same items: coffee, energy drinks, and cigarettes. Emma had mentioned to her coworkers that Chuck made her uncomfortable with his persistent questions about her schedule and personal life, but she'd never felt threatened enough to refuse his business or call for help. Chuck's alibi for the night of Emma's disappearance seemed ironclad. Hotel records showed him checked into a Holiday Inn in Beaumont, 90 minutes away, with his key card used to enter his room at 1:15 a.m. Surveillance cameras at the hotel confirmed his presence in the lobby around that time. Phone records showed he'd made calls to his wife and a client from his room during the critical time window when Emma vanished. Yet something about Chuck's demeanor during police interviews troubled Detective Morrison, a nervousness that seemed disproportionate to routine questioning. The breakthrough came 18 years later, when Detective Lisa Santos, a cold case specialist with the Texas Rangers, decided to re-examine the security footage using digital enhancement technology that hadn't existed in 2001. Working with video forensics experts, Santos discovered something that earlier investigators had missed: a subtle reflection in the store's glass door that showed a figure moving in the parking lot during the critical time period when Emma disappeared. The enhanced footage revealed a person approaching the store's rear entrance, which wasn't covered by security cameras due to a blind spot in the system's design. More importantly, the reflection showed this person had keys to the store. They weren't breaking in, but entering legitimately. The discovery led Santos to re-examine who had access to Murphy's Gas and Go after hours. The store's owner, Bill Crawford, had given keys to only 3 people besides Emma: himself, his assistant manager, and the vendor who serviced the coffee machines weekly. The coffee vendor was eliminated immediately. He was verifiably in Dallas that night. Crawford's alibi was also solid, but the investigation revealed something that had been overlooked in 2001. Chuck Brennan had worked part-time at Murphy's during the store's early days, helping with inventory and deliveries before his pharmaceutical sales career took off. He'd returned his keys when he left, but could have made copies. Santos obtained a search warrant for Chuck's home in Tyler, where he'd moved after retiring from pharmaceutical sales in 2015. Hidden in his garage, investigators found a disturbing collection of photographs taken covertly at Murphy's Gas and Go, showing Emma at work over a period of months. More damning still, they discovered a detailed journal documenting Emma's schedule, habits, and personal information Chuck had gleaned from their conversations. The journal entries revealed Chuck's growing obsession with Emma and his elaborate plans to stage her disappearance to look like she'd run away voluntarily. The final entry, dated October 14, 2001, described his intention to help Emma start a new life somewhere far from Texas. DNA evidence recovered from items in Chuck's garage matched trace evidence found on Emma's textbooks, providing the physical proof that had been missing for nearly 2 decades. Under interrogation, Chuck Brennan confessed to Emma's murder, though he maintained it had been accidental. He claimed he'd entered the store through the rear door, intending only to talk with Emma about their future together. But when she threatened to call police, a struggle ensued that ended with Emma striking her head on the concrete floor behind the counter. Panicked, Chuck had loaded her body into his vehicle and driven to a remote area near Caddo Lake, where he'd disposed of her remains in the swampy waters that he knew would conceal evidence indefinitely. The recovery of Emma Rodriguez's body in December 2019 brought closure to a case that had haunted East Texas law enforcement for 18 years. Chuck Brennan's conviction and life sentence provided justice, but it also revealed how predators could hide their true nature behind facades of respectability and routine interaction. His pharmaceutical sales job had given him legitimate reasons to travel throughout the region. His professional appearance had made him seem trustworthy, and his patient cultivation of Emma's routine had allowed him to plan the perfect crime. For the Rodriguez family, Emma's case demonstrated both the power of persistence and the devastating impact of crimes that shatter small communities' sense of security. The Murphy's Gas and Go still operates today, but it's no longer a 24-hour establishment. Emma's disappearance convinced the owner that the risks of isolated night shifts were too great. The store now closes at midnight, a quiet testament to a young woman whose dreams of healing others were cut short by someone who'd been watching and waiting in plain sight.